So Nixon faced an impossible choice: hand over the tapes and risk being caught in the cover-up, or refuse to hand them over, look guilty, and provoke a constitutional crisis. Nixon chose option 2 and decided to fight, cause he claimed executive privilege, arguing that a president's private conversations were protected and Congress had no right to hear them. But the special prosecutor, Archibald Cox, demanded the tapes. Nixon still refused, so Cox pushed harder. And on October 20th, 1973, Nixon did something so outrageous, it got its own name: the Saturday Night Massacre. Cause Nixon realized, this Archibald Cox guy won't get off my case. I need to get him fired. So he ordered his Attorney General to fire Cox. The Attorney General refused and resigned. So Nixon ordered the Deputy Attorney General to do it. He also refused and resigned. Finally, Robert Bork, the Solicitor General, now third in line, carried out the order and fired Cox. In a single night, the President of the United States had decapitated the Justice Department to stop an investigation into himself. And the Saturday Night Massacre was the moment millions of Americans, even some who'd supported Nixon, looked at their televisions and thought, he's hiding something. Congress was furious, public opinion cratered, and the calls for impeachment began to roar. From this point on, Nixon was fighting for survival. And the new special prosecutor, Leon Jaworski, picked up right where Cox left off. And he wasn't backing down either. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court in United States v. Nixon. And on July 24, 1974, the court ruled 8-0, unanimous. The president had to hand over the tapes. No exceptions, no executive privilege. Nobody is above the law. And when the tapes were finally released, oh boy, this man got exposed. Cause the most devastating recording was from June 23, 1972, just 6 days after the break-in. On that tape, Nixon is heard telling Haldeman to use the CIA to block the FBI's Watergate investigation. Nixon wasn't just aware of the cover-up, he was directing it from the beginning. This became known as the smoking gun tape, and it obliterated every defense Nixon had left. Meanwhile, the House Judiciary Committee voted to approve 3 articles of impeachment: obstruction of justice, abuse of power, and contempt of Congress. Nixon's own Republican allies in Congress went to the White House and told him face to face, "You do not have the votes to survive impeachment. It's over, buddy." The most powerful man in the world had run out of moves. So then came August 8, 1974. And Richard Nixon sat behind the Resolute desk, the same desk where he'd made history with China, managed Cold War crises, and governed the most powerful nation on earth. He sat there to do something no American president had ever done before in history. At 9:01 p.m. Eastern Time, the cameras went live, and an estimated 110 million Americans tuned in. It was the largest television audience in history at that point. Nixon looked into the camera, face drawn and eyes heavy, and said, "I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow." No American president had ever spoken those words before, and none has since. He didn't admit guilt and didn't apologize for what he'd done. He framed it as a sacrifice, saying he no longer had a strong enough political base in Congress to govern effectively. But everyone watching knew the truth. So the next morning, Nixon gave one last rambling, emotional speech to his White House staff in the East Room. His voice cracked, his eyes were red. He talked about his mother, his father, his years of struggle, and some staff members were openly sobbing. Then he walked out of the White House for the last time and crossed the South Lawn to the waiting helicopter with his wife Pat beside him. At the steps of the helicopter, Nixon turned around. He faced the cameras, raised both arms, and spread his fingers into twin V for victory signs. That frozen image of a disgraced president became one of the most iconic photographs in American history. Best of luck in retirement, sir! Try not to be hated too much out there!